We all know the familiar beats of the American frontier: the high noon showdowns, the stagecoach chases across the desert, the clear-cut heroes in white hats. But the imagery we instantly recognize today didn't naturally evolve from historical records. It was a deliberately engineered narrative. The actual mid-1800s frontier was brutal. It was chaotic, lonely, and completely devoid of cinematic glamour. William Frederick Cody understood that audiences sitting in comfortable eastern cities didn't want the harsh truth of the plains. They wanted a hero. To figure out why this specific version of the West took over global pop culture, we have to look at the man who stepped out of the desert to write its definitive script. Cody grew up in the 1840s, right in the middle of America's westward expansion. After his father died, he was forced into heavy, dangerous labor to keep his family fed. By his teenage years, he was already navigating hostile territory, hauling freight as a wagon driver and riding for the Pony Express. In the 1860s, he took a grueling job supplying meat to the massive crews building the Kansas Pacific Railway. The sheer volume of animals he hunted earned him a new moniker, Buffalo Bill. He later parlayed his intimate knowledge of the terrain into a job as a U.S. Army scout during the Indian Wars, tracking adversaries and surviving constant exposure. This entire stretch of his life was strictly about survival. Yet the grit and danger of these early years provided the raw, authentic material he would eventually mine for his stage productions. As tales of his frontier scouting trickled back east, the press quickly took notice. If you look at this dime novel cover, you can see how sensationalist publishers hijacked his identity, turning a skilled scout into an invincible superhero. Writers threw in completely fabricated elements, like ghostly specters and dramatized captivity scenes, blurring truth into pure theatrical fiction. These cheap, serialized paperbacks sold in massive numbers, proving that urban readers had a ravenous appetite for frontier mythology. Seeing other people get rich by printing tall tales about his life pushed Cody to step in. He decided to take direct control of his own character. In the 1880s, Cody pivoted from being the subject of the story to its director, launching Buffalo Bill's Wild West show. He took the authentic hardware of the frontier, like the U.S. mail stagecoaches he used to guard, and repurposed them for thrilling, safely contained reenactments. To inject pure entertainment into the history lesson, he hired specialized performers, bringing on marksmen like Annie Oakley to execute complex shooting stunts. He also hired hundreds of Native Americans, directing them to perform highly rehearsed, dramatized versions of frontier battles for cheering crowds. Cody successfully commercialized the struggle of his youth, turning the survival skills of a scout into a repeatable, scripted performance he could sell to thousands. To understand the massive scale of his operation, look at this illustrated tour poster. He packed up hundreds of performers, animals, and sets, turning America into a touring global brand. Following the red lines crossing the Atlantic, he exported the wild frontier to new continents. The cultural collision was surreal. Staged cowboy gunfights played out right alongside the heavy, industrialized streets of Victorian London. But creating mass entertainment required flattening reality. To sell tickets, the show permanently oversimplified the complex, ongoing tragedies of Native American life, reducing them to one-dimensional adversaries in a theatrical playbook. Because the show had already defined the specific look and rhythm of the frontier for a global audience, the first generation of filmmakers adopted Cody's costumes, stunts, and moral archetypes as their starting point. The real American frontier was a place of quiet hardship and moral ambiguity, but we remember the fast draws and the heroes, because history is rarely shaped by those who live it. It is shaped by whoever puts on the best show.